You just tuned it in. Global and worldwide. Hitting you on the one with no delay. Because it's the Fighter's Voice. The Fighter's Voice. With your fighting host, Richard Ortiz. And the formidable co-host, Mr. Cole Escovedo. Remember, every fighter has a voice.
Fresno, California. We're live here in Fresno, California, and we're fighting back. We're fighting back with Facebook. We're fighting back with Instagram because a lot of it has been knocked the hell out. The Fighter's Voice Kick-Ass Podcast, the only voice that matters and simply knocking out the competition. Today, we have a call-in guest. We have heavyweight contender, the Nightmare, CHRIS Arreola. He's going to be on the undercard of the biggest boxing event this year, and that's Mikey Garcia in Spence and Dallas Cowboy Arena. The stage is set. The fighters are ready. They need to make weight, lace them up, put the mouthpiece on, and just simply let the hands fly. First time in studio ever that we got both the co-hosts with the most is Cole Escovedo back from assignment. He was tearing it up in a professional studio, making it happen. He has stories to tell. We also got Mr. Mike Rutha. I'm getting closer and closer. That means Spanish for tire, my man. We got a lot of segments to cover. Oh, it sounds like our guest is calling right now. Let's put him on speaker and say what's up. Chris, is that you?
Yes, sir.
You ready to be on the Fighter's Voice Kick-Ass Podcast?
You know it.
Well, check this out. With us right here in studio, we have boxing writer Mike Rutha. And we have UFC veteran Cole Escovedo, the co-host with the most. And we welcome you to the Fighter's Voice Kick-Ass Podcast. What's going on, my man?
Good. Just chilling, man. Just anticipating and waiting for this fight.
You know, talk to us about this, man, because, you know, you've had a long layoff, and I've looked at your pictures. You look ready to go. You look like you're in shape, and you got that mental edge that you used to have, man. And I say used to because those last couple fights, I didn't see it, but I see it now. I know we're breathing, and we want another shot at that strap.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, first of all, man, let's take care of John Pierre because he's a crafty lefty. He's one of those guys that is going to try to move, going to try to give me different angles. And the main thing is I'm gonna have the left hand is going to come from a different angle that I'm not used to. So I have to be aware. I have to be on my P's and Q's, keep my hands up, and make sure I give the fans a great fight. You know, no offense to him or anything like that or disrespect toward him, but I want to end the night early, man. I just want to get out of there. I want to take care of business, get out of there, and make my name again a force to be reckoned with in the heavyweight division. I want people to talk about my name. Seems like people forgot. But this 2-year layoff was great, man. I got to spend it with my daughter. I got to spend it with my son, and it's a good little layoff, man. I didn't get beat up for 2 years, so time to get back in the ring and get punched.
Hey, well, I'll tell you what, layoffs work for fighters. Just ask Mikey Garcia. He took a layoff, and look at him now. He's fighting one of the biggest boxing events in boxing history, definitely the biggest boxing event this year. What's your whole take on that?
You know what? It's a great fight. Plain and simple. At the end of the day, it's a 50-50 fight in my eyes. But I got to say one thing. Today, at the press conference, I feel like Spence, he's ready, man. Spence sounds like a killer. You know, and I'm rooting for Mikey. I'm pulling for Mikey. I'm picking Mikey. But this is going to be a scary fight. It's going to be a very scary fight. Both fighters are very skilled. But I got to say the edge, as far as boxing skills-wise, and the way he fight goes out to Spence. And I'm taking Mikey because I know the heart that he has. I know that he trains hard. He works hard. And he's going to come in more than ready and to take this title. But it's going to be fireworks, man.
You know, that's a very educated answer, man. I mean, that's been my thoughts ever since then. And, you know, I wish I was there with you guys. I was just telling our engineer and producer, you know, it's days like this leading up that I always try to spot something, whether it's the way he looks at the crowd, whether the way he handles himself with the press, how he looks at himself at the weigh-in, the walk inside the ring, those little details, definitely, I mean, they do tip their hat. And when a man's ready, I mean, he's ready. I mean, he's peaking, and he's just anticipating that bout to ring. Now, when you looked at Mikey, what did you see in Mikey when you noticed about him? What did you notice about his body language?
In all honesty, I don't feel like I from looking at him, he looks the same. He doesn't look like he's bigger. He doesn't look like he got bigger or anything like that. If anything, he stayed natural. He looks ready. He looks determined. The look in his eyes, there's a fire in his eyes that he wants to prove something. He wants to prove something bad. And Spence, he looks so calm. He looks like he's been there before, which is rather a little eerie, a little different, because you're expecting someone to be excited, to be just out there. And I like the fact that he's not like that. He's one of those calm killers.
You know, a lot of people, when they have big fights, they feel the pressure. But, yeah, I do agree with you. He does look relaxed. And I'm going to ask Cole Escovedo, our co-host. Cole, you've been in many big fights in the UFC. And you've heard CHRIS ARREOLA say to us that one of the biggest fights, and both fighters, well, one he's speaking of, it looks very relaxed. I mean, during that time, what are they thinking about?
Oh, I mean, it just depends. If he looks relaxed, it just depends. When he says like he's been there before, I mean, you have to take into account how many high-level fights they've had. At one point, you have so much high-level contact with all that stuff that it's run-of-the-mill. It's normal for you. They could be thinking about how the weight cut went. You're not really thinking about, I mean, yeah, they say they're thinking about the fight, but most of the time, you're not really thinking about the fight at that moment, especially when it comes to like weigh-ins and media conferences and stuff. You're just like, whatever we're doing today, sometimes you're there for it, sometimes you're not. Like, it just depends on how it's going. You had a bad weight cut, you might just be like, yeah, whatever, let's not, I'm here so I don't get fined, you know? So, but some days you're like, no, I feel good, I feel great, this should be a good day, I'm got energy today. And that, as long as they have energy, they're cool, but they're not really thinking too much about the fight. It's more just, what media hoops do I have to jump through today? Who do I have to not piss off?
Chris, you were there, and I'm sure it was electrifying. The who's who was there. Tell us some of the big names that you spotted there in the crowd. I know you were focused and concentrating on your opponent and things that you needed to say, but what did you notice? What can you tell us about it?
One of the biggest names, and I don't know, man, I've always liked Duran. So Duran was there, Mr. No Mas, but
hands of stone, baby.
It was a little humbling to speak to someone like that, and the fact that he knew who I was like, oh shit, you know who the fuck I am? That's pretty cool. So yeah, obviously there was him. There's a bunch of a multitude of boxers.
Well, Chris, you're one of the biggest Mexicano heavyweights ever to freaking lace it up. I mean, people got to know who you are. You're not a welterweight. You're not a light heavyweight. You bring it. You're the nightmare, baby. Everybody knows who you are.
Yeah, you know what? It's very humbling, because I don't think of myself like that. I just think of myself just a big Mexican that likes to fight. That's it. Honestly. I'm lucky enough that I had my father in my life, and he kept me out of jail and kept me in the gym, to be honest with you. And you know, I'm getting off the subject a little bit. I just believe that parents in general need to be there for their kids. A kid's only going to do what a parent allows you to do. You know what I mean? That's how I feel. And I'm extremely lucky that I had a father that gave a fuck, because he made me go to the gym. He would tell me it's for my own good, and I'd be like, motherfucker, this is for your own good. Like, in my mind, I was thinking, like, dude, I'm doing this for you, not for me. But now, in retrospect, that I think about it, my dad taking me to the gym every freaking day, days that I didn't want to go, days I'm sure that he didn't want to go. Man, I got to give a lot of love and respect to my dad, and just like Mikey, his father was there.
Yes, that's true.
So I strongly believe in support of a parent in any sport. Don't matter what sport it is, be there for your kid, and never know. He could be playing football at fucking right here at Dallas Stadium. He could be fighting, being the main event at Dallas Stadium. So, you know, I'm just saying, man, parents, be there for your kids, man.
And, you know, that's a great message. That's a positive message, man, coming from the nightmare, because the nightmare is human just like everybody else. And you do make those wise decisions, and you do appreciate having your parents there and you being there for your kids, etc., man. But the main thing I got to ask you right now, are your hands going to be there Saturday night when you walk inside the ring?
Man, my hands are jittery now, man. I'm ready to punch somebody. I ain't gonna lie, man. That's one thing I love boxing, man. I'm lucky that I get to get in the ring, fight someone, beat the fuck out of each other, and after the fight, shake hands like gentlemen. I love that. That's my favorite thing about boxing.
Hey, Cole, you know that feeling. I mean, as far as having a little bit of jittery, getting ready to go before you walk into the cage, man. So you could identify exactly what Chris is talking about.
Yeah, it's a different. There's nervous energy and there's anticipative energy. And they're both very different. They're both very strong, but like nervous energy makes you like feel nervous, feel scared, potential fear, things like that. You start to. That's where the nerve comes in. This type of energy he's talking about is just like I get to go hit someone. Like come on.
Kind of an excitement. Is that safe to say, Chris?
Yeah, it is an excitement.
Like waiting for Christmas morning. Like you remember waking up early on Christmas morning, waiting for your parents to hurry and get up. You're like, come on, wait. Same concept, same thing.
Chris, I have a boxing writer here for the Fighter's Voice, Mike Rutha. He has a question to ask you. Go ahead, Mike.
Chris, I've been watching you for a while. You might not remember a few years back, we had a conversation out there in L.A. I won't bring it up. It was funny as hell, though. I'll just tell you that. I talked to Richard about it yesterday. But what was your favorite fight that you've had leading up to now, obviously in the victories?
My favorite fight. Believe it or not, dude, I have to say, I loved fighting Klitschko.
Honestly, dude,
I got my ass beat. He fucking beat me from pillar to post, but the experience was just unforgettable. I remember walking out. The song that I walked out to was what was the song today? Run This Town.
Yeah.
And the crowd was rocking.
HBO.
Staples Center. Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Metal World Peace.
You had Kobe,
Bryant.
yeah.
I was like, what the fuck? Like, they all came to see me, to watch me fight this giant. So that was a great experience. Fighting in Mexico was really nice too.
Yeah.
You know, I want to elaborate a little bit on that. When you walked into the ring, whether you liked it or not, this big Mexican was representing Team USA, and that's who they were rooting for. They wanted an American to come home with a strap. And I wanted to ask you about that. Walking into the ring, I don't know if you felt that pressure or if you knew the impact that you had on people's lives, because they saw an American in there with the red, white, and blue. And I know deep down you got some green, white, and red in you, man. But did you ever think about that?
In all honesty, no, I didn't, man. I'm gonna tell you one thing, man. Usually going into a fight, he said, we get that nervous energy and stuff. I didn't have that. I wasn't nervous. I was really confident in myself and on my training that I did and all that. So, which was very, very weird, because usually you do have that nervous energy, and that day I didn't.
Well, you know what? This is the day, this Saturday. I mean, you had your opportunity at a world title. A lot of people don't even get that opportunity, but it sounds like you still have some fight left in you, man. And I'm hearing good things from your training camp, because, like, you know, we know people that know people that know people, and they said that Chris is ready to freaking bring it. They said the nightmare is alive and wide awake. You don't get to have the nightmare where you wake up and the nightmare go away, that you're here in existence, man, that you're about to haunt somebody and tear down your opponent.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm more than ready. Honestly, this is my last run. This is my last title run. If I lose, I retire. If I look stupid, I will retire. You know, boxing doesn't need me. I need boxing more than boxing needs me.
That's a very strong statement there.
And in all honesty, I'm here to win a title, and that's the main thing. And if I lose, what the fuck am I doing in the game? What am I doing in the game? What am I doing? There's nothing left for me, other than being a coach.
Well, I mean, this is it right here. This is what I've been hearing. I don't know if you heard anything about this. I just heard they're trying to put together a dream match. I mean, they're going to take care of this fight first, but you against Andy Reese. Did you hear anything about that?
I've heard about that. That'll be a fun fight. You know, two Mexicans going at it. But you know what? There's a lot of heavyweights out there to be fighting, though. There's a lot of heavyweights. I'm sure we should meet up sometime. Maybe we should fight. You know, fight a Kolonaki or someone like that in the same card and build it up. That's how I feel. Mm-hmm. I'd fight him. I'd love to fight him. You know what? I remember the first time I sparred him. I sparred him once, long time ago. I believe he was 17 years old. And even back then, he was a big boy, but he has hand speed.
Yes, he does.
Very good hand speed for being a big boy. So, yeah, that'll be a fun fight, though.
Cole, you know the experience days before a fight. I mean, you're listening to Chris. You can hear his demeanor, his attitude. Is that the right attitude to have going into the ring?
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. He just sounds confident. It doesn't sound like he's pushing an ego upon it or an emotional edge toward it. It just sounds like he's just ready to do what it sounds fun. Like I said, most of the time you're going to find guys, the hard work was done weeks ago for that like 6-week camp they have. That's all the hard stuff. This is like, for some of it's just like, it's the fun part. Like it's still a fight and they take it seriously, but it's like, this is what I was doing for the last 8 weeks. This is why I did this, so I can go and do this and have this fun. So it's totally normal, totally right.
Hey, talk to us about training camp. I mean, talk to us about your corner and your team. I want the viewers and listeners to know exactly what's going on there.
See, well, training camp was about 7-week training camp, and one of the main things that myself and Henry's my main trainer, my head coach.
The man with the LA Dodger hat every single time, baby.
Yeah, the round guy.
Yeah.
Call him round face. But yeah, me and Roundface, just the main thing is that I know.
Hey, Henry's gonna be watching this, man. I'm gonna tag Henry on this.
Roundface, dude.
Yeah, make sure you tag him, the round guy.
Okay, Henry, that's Chris talking. That's not me, my man.
No, but the main thing is that I know he's a very good boxer. I know he's a mover. The hardest part was the first couple of times that I got in a sparring because punches were coming from different angles, and I had to adjust, a lot of adjusting to do. And moving to my left and moving in different angles and making sure that when I stepped with intent. And the training camp was great. I did a lot of cardio, I don't run. That's one thing I don't do. I hate running. But I'll do stairs, I'll do bleachers, I'll do whatever you want me to do. But don't ask me to run because I hate it.
Do swimming.
If no one's chasing me and I'm not chasing someone, what the fuck am I running for?
There you go.
Well, I can understand that, but I've never been a fan of running. It's really bad on the knees no matter what shoes you're wearing. The impact is just bad on knees. But if you want the same type of workout though that you get for running, go swimming. That'll give you the same overall cardio.
Yeah, that's another good workout too.
You get a nice, good full body.
The first couple of weeks was some swimming, but it got too cold in California. I had to stop swimming.
Too cold in California. That's not a statement you hear all the time. Maybe if you're up in like Yosemite or something, but nah, usually it's beaches, suns, and bikinis, man.
The only thing you hear cold in California is the beer, my man.
Yeah, it's like, there you go.
I haven't drank beer in a while, man. It's been a minute.
No, that's the sacrifice. The post fight. After it's all said and done, when you get that victory and you can relax, hey, you can have any kind of drink that you want. But right now, I know you're disciplined. I'm looking at your pictures, and I know you're ready to go. And I want to give a shout out to Henry. Henry's also in the corner of Fresno-born Marcos Madman Hernandez, who came up short his last fight. But Henry's one hell of a trainer.
Yeah, you know what? Marcos came out short, but I seen him in training camp, man, and he worked hard. That's one thing I do know about him is that he was training hard and he came ready.
Yes, he
came
did.
up a little short, and personally, I think the referee stopped it a little prematurely. Maybe could have given him a little bit more time, but
I kind of thought the same too.
It was still a good fight.
I kind of thought the same too. I agree with you there.
But then again, you gotta think that referees are there to save yourself from you. Mm-hmm. So
very well said.
Just bow your head down and be like, well, today you were the better fighter.
Yeah, young man, strap it up and we'll do it again.
Exactly.
So, hey, man, what's it like, man, up there? I mean, you got a lot of obligations. I know you had to meet with the press. I know you had to do a couple meet and greet events while you're there. How are the fans treating you?
Lovely, man. Lovely. I'm lucky that they still remember me. I'm a lucky man. I gotta say, man, like I said it before and I'll say it again, I'm nobody without the fans. I'm nobody without them. So I appreciate every single one of them. If they want a picture, I'll take 100 pictures. I give them 100 autographs, whatever they want, because I'm nobody without them. And as far as the press, man, it was very, very, very lively. Very lively as far as from Spence and Mikey. They were just, you could just tell that they're ready.
Yeah.
More so, and now, like I said before, more so Spence, man. I did not expect to hear the way he spoke to Mikey. He kept telling him, like, hey, I thought you remember how you were running your mouth? Keep running it. I was like, oh.
Oh, really? So he kind of popped off today.
Yeah.
Spence did.
Oh, yeah. Spence did.
Did Mikey engage at all, or he just kind of shrugged himself and gave him a look?
Well, obviously he's like, well, yeah, I am confident. I do believe I'm going to win and stuff like that. But it was just, it was nice.
He didn't expect Spence to just pop off the way he did.
I didn't.
Okay.
I honestly didn't, because he's a real nice, chill, laid back kind of guy, man. And when he came up like that, I'm like, yeah, this man's ready to fight.
Yeah, he really never engages in verbal conversations. The last time he did, it was with a different fighter from a top rank, and that was Crawford when they had their little incident there. But
that's right.
Yeah, that's the only time that they were really barking at each other.
That would be an actually nice fight to watch. Yeah. Crawford versus Spence.
Yeah, you know nice. What? I want to have that sentence too. I want to have that conversation too. But if I do that, I'm definitely counting Mike out, and I'm not ready to do so just yet. So I don't think about anything else, and I'm not the one in the ring. I'm focused on Mikey taking care of what he needs to take care of. And here's my thing. Here's my take. Mikey handpicked him. Mikey went after Spence. Mikey moved up 2 weights. Mikey said, I want it in his backyard. And all the viewers and listeners, in case you don't know, we're talking to CHRIS ARREOLA, who's at Dallas Cowboy Stadium, Texas Arena, where it's about to go down. So as you can probably understand, you know who I'm pulling for. But at the end of the day, I'm a boxing fanatic, and I call it the way I see it. And I kind of see the same things that you see with Spence. That way, Mikey is going to have to fight the perfect fight. But if anybody can pull this off, it's definitely Mikey Garcia.
Absolutely. And you know what? Mikey is a student of the game.
Very high IQ.
He has very high IQ. He didn't start boxing until he was 16 years old. And all of that year before that, he was in the gym with his brother, with Fernando Vargas, with his dad. So he soaked up all that. He soaked up all that knowledge. He soaked up everything that his brother went through, everything that Vargas went through, how he was up and down, he would train, he won't train, and stuff like that. He's seen everyone's downfall that he learned from. And then once he was 16 and he wanted to fight, he wasn't a beat fighter because he started a little late in the game. I started when I was 7. You know what I mean? So he's a smart fighter. He's not a beat fighter like that's been in wars and a lot of amateur wars and stuff like that. So
got some shelf life left.
It's a fun fight.
You know, I'm gonna put you on the hot seat, man. What are your keys to victory for? We'll start with Spence. What does Spence need to do to get the victory Saturday?
He needs to oppose his will. He needs to just.
That's in my notes.
Mikey. He needs to be, but smartly. You know, he needs to impose his size. He needs to try to outsmart Mikey. And as far as Mikey is concerned, he just needs to use his ring generalship. Work the good angles, good combinations, and keep that jab out there, man. That's one thing he needs to keep Spence out there. He needs to keep his ass out. He needs to box him. But Spence is gonna come in like a bull, though.
Try to keep Spencer out on the side of the ring, maybe as opposed to in the center where he can bull rush him to a ring.
Exactly, Mike. What's your take right now? What are your keys to victory in 45 seconds?
The way Chris said, the same way, and also Mikey has to give Spence something to think about. He has to make him respect his power, because if not, Spencer's just gonna keep walking.
Did you read my notes, man?
Stiff ass jab or something.
Yeah. He's got to give him something. He's got to give him either a good right hand at some point, or go to the body to where Spence knows if he's coming in, he's gonna get hit with something, and it's up to Spence if he wants to take it all night. But if he doesn't respect his power, that fight could be over quickly. And I don't think that will happen. I do think Mikey will make it go 12, but he needs to make Spence think in there.
You know, Chris, I mean, you have ringside seats, but you have your own fight to be concerned about. And tell us about, you know, the other fighters that are there, what they're anticipating in Mikey Garcia. I know a lot of them want to get their bouts out of the way and they want to go in the dressing room because everybody wants to watch the main event.
Yeah, everyone does. You know, like Benavidez, I've been talking to him a lot.
It's a big boy. I like him.
He's huge. 168? What? He's my height. I almost think at him eye level.
Yeah, he looks like a light heavy.
Yeah, he's a big kid. You know, obviously, you know, most of the Hispanics, we're all pulling for Mikey. Everyone's pulling for Mikey. But we all think the same thing. It's a dangerous fight. Very dangerous fight. But everyone knows that Mikey has to be aware at all times. There's no lagging on Spence, because Spence, all he needs is just a fraction of a second and the fight could be over.
Yeah. I agree with you there. And one thing that people really aren't taking into consideration is he's fighting a southpaw. I mean, Spence is also a southpaw. Not only is he a headache as far as an athlete, very strong, elusive athlete, but he's also a southpaw.
a southpaw that can crack with either hand.
Yep.
Remember this. He used to spar with the Charlo brothers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
Charlo brothers, they're big boys. They're men. And they're walking around at 60, 65 for fighting at 54. Come on.
Yeah.
You know, he's used to getting punched with big punches. It's going to be very hard for me to see him being hurt by Mikey. I think Mikey really is going to win a decision.
Oh, you think Mikey? They'll get Mikey a decision if he in fact deserves the decision at Spence hometown.
If we're talking about if we're being legit and we're calling it the way it's called, yeah, I believe he could win a fight in Texas.
You know, did you have a chance to speak to Robert at all? And I'm talking about Robert Garcia, Hall of Fame trainer.
No, actually, no. We, obviously high and by and stuff like that, but to speak to him in depth, no. I talk more to his father. His father, he's such a nice man.
OG.
I love talking to him. He's so all that ring knowledge, man. I try to get as much as I can out of him. And one thing that he told me is that Spence is very fast, in that he has to watch the left hand, but that Mikey is going to keep him at bay.
I think my take is I think that Mikey has to close the distance. I think he has to prevent Spence from getting that proper distance where he gets full range on that big left hand. Somewhere in the fight, somewhere in that first round, Mikey has to give him, in that first, it's very important, Mikey has to give him something to think about when he goes back to sit on his stool, whether it's a big right hand or even the attempt to let him know, hey, I'm strapping it on too and I'm swinging right back at you. To me, the most dangerous part is the first half of the fight. I kind of give Mikey the edge in the second half of the fight, but then again, I want to know how that weight is how he handles that extra weight. And I'm talking about Mikey going into the second half of the fight. I'm very concerned because of Spence power. He can change a fight in one punch. But I'm banking on Mikey's IQ and when he chooses to fight, and he's going to have to continue to have make Spence respect him. Spence does not respect him. By him popping off today, Mikey's going to have to take that respect.
You know what? Thinking about that, the fight that he had with Eastern, that was a great fight. Not because Eastern made it great, it's because the way Mikey fought him, the way he honestly just schooled Eastern, and I think Eastern's taller than Spence.
Yes,
Eastern's a tall kid.
Eastern's, I believe, 6'1" or somewhere around there.
Yeah, he's a tall kid. And Mikey did exactly what he was supposed to do. That right hand, the way he cocks it, the way he waits on it, smart man.
Hey, Chris, I'm going to ask you a question, and we're going to have some fun now from the rest of the show. You covered all what we need to cover right now. I'm here with the UFC veteran, Co Escovedo. Any chance you ever wanting to step inside a cage?
Absolutely not. That's no, absolutely not, man.
Hey,
my respects goes out to them, man, because it's a hard sport. You don't have to just know one thing. You have to know a multitude of different fighting. That's why it's called mixed martial arts. You have to know at least more than one art. You need to know how to box. You need to know how to do some groundwork, because the groundwork is important, man. Once you get on the ground, shit, I'm lost. I'm done. I'm tapping. You don't even have to jump on me. If I hit the ground, boom, boom, I'm tapping. Don't get off me.
Hey, Cole, so when you hear that and you hear a professional boxer, heavyweight contender who's once had a title shot, give MMA that respect, how does that make you feel, man?
No, it's awesome. It just shows that they actually like our sport and they don't have like disdain toward it because it's another competing combat sport and stuff. I mean, at the same time, dude, it's you get a lot of MMA guys that look to boxing and they're like, you only have, how do I explain this? Have you ever played hide and seek with somebody, but they tell you where they're gonna hide ahead of time? The game seems easy, right? It almost seems impossible to lose. It's like the reverse though, but with boxing, you only have like one target. So you know where your opponent's going to punch you. You have to come up with a strategy and the ability to avoid being there, as well as hit him in one of only two or three real targets that he knows you're going to aim for. So it actually makes it even harder, in my opinion. Like, you have to really be able to throw your hands and be accurate with your hand-eye coordination and the movement accuracy in order to even come close to stepping casually. Ask Evan to just casually stepping in a boxing ring. I mean, You take on real boxers that you're gonna blink, they're gonna be gone.
Yeah.
Like what's his face, Lomachenko.
Yeah.
Just gone, just fucking gone, like just fucking gone. So, I love that boxers have that respect for it. At the same time, it's like, remember, for us, it's multiple targets. I can take a fight and never take a punch. For you guys, it's he's gonna try to punch you in the fucking face. You just have to be good enough to not be there. And it's hard because you know where he's gonna punch and he knows where you're gonna punch.
I will throw one name at you, Chris. Ray Mercer. Remember, he walked in the cage and he was a one-hitter quitter. So I was thinking, man, I wanted to see, Chris and Kane, two big Mexicans going at it, right?
No, thank you.
Yeah,
James Tony?
Oh, no, yeah, I remember James Tony, too, yeah.
Those guys got
Yeah,
fucking
thank you.
tooled up.
Yeah, I
Sorry,
do.
man. Like, as soon as I get on the floor, I'm a turtle. I'm a turtle on his back. I'm serious. I don't know what the hell to do.
That's gonna be a hashtag now. Hashtag turtle time.
Hashtag turtle time.
Hashtag turtle time.
Exactly.
We're just gonna find videos of heavyweights just getting dropped and just going fucking arms and legs up. It's gonna be called turtle time.
Hey, man, listen, I appreciate you taking time out. I know you got a busy schedule. I know you got to go concentrate, focus, and do some other obligations that you got to do, man. But anything you want to say to all the viewers and fans that will be pulling for the nightmare?
You know what? Thank you. That's it. I want to thank every boxing fan, whether you're with me or against me, but you're watching, and I appreciate it. I appreciate every boxing fan because I'm nobody without you guys. And that's the God honest truth. So I thank you guys for watching. So and I hope I've been trained hard enough to give you guys a great show.
Anything you want to add to that, Cole?
No, that sounds like the best attitude. He's basically telling you, I hope I did enough to make sure that you're getting your tickets worth. Like, he's basically saying, I hope you get your money's worth.
He's never let us down before.
No, he hasn't. Hey, Chris, when you get that victory, when you get that post-fight interview, when you look into the camera, and after you say thumbs up for Richie, man, if you can say what's up to the Fighter's Voice Knockout Radio Show, baby, we're there.
I try to remember. There's a lot of shit going on.
Hey, don't worry, my man. I'll text it to you even when you're on your stool.
That's like asking a cop, hey, when you get in a shootout, did you remember to sponsor Alberto's Taco Shop, right?
Hey,
Post-fucking shootout.
If you don't ask, nothing happens, right, my man?
Hey,
Exactly.
Hey, I'm gonna ask you like they asked Mosley a long time ago. Can you put the your opponent put the Fighter's Voice logo on his shoes so when he falls down and they get the camera right there,
Man,
you can see the logo?
That's a burn.
Yeah, that reminds me of who was that guy? The first one that Tyson fought, Peely McNeely.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, yeah.
Pizza Hut, right? They gave him a big old contract after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, pizza contract too, and some kind of oil change or something.
Boxer takes a
Yeah, which is crazy.
It was
like- that's-
for them stopping it so early.
That's like George Foreman making a grill. Fuck your fat ass know about weight loss grill.
Hey,
It's-
my man. Well, listen, man, I'm going to tag you on the show, and I'll give you all my information afterwards, and I'm definitely going to send you the link. We wish you well. We're going to be rooting for you, man, because, hey, you're a class act. I remember talking to you in Vegas on the undercard of Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor, and you weren't fighting, so we were kind of having, some adult Gatorades, and we were having a good time. It was me, you, Henry, I believe Ricky was there, Pete Lopes was there, Ali Setback was there, Robert Garcia was there, and a couple of other people that probably shouldn't have been there. But we had a good time. You remember that?
Yeah, bro. What's that stupid little bar at? It's right downstairs.
Exactly, without giving it away too much. But yeah, right downstairs. Right, it's too close to our room, is what you want to say.
Exactly.
All right, brother. We wish you well, man. And when I see you, man, I'm going to give you a big hug, man. I appreciate you being a guest here on the Fighter's Voice Kick-Ass Podcast. Remember, we're simply knocking out the competition. We'll be rooting for you. And raise your hand high when you get that victory. I'll let you go, my man.
Thank you, G. You guys have a great night, and thank you for having me. You guys have a good one.
Our pleasure, my man. Okay. All right. CHRIS Arreola, my man, he's full of energy. I mean, livelihood, man. I mean, he's getting ready, days away from a big fight, big opportunity to make another run, Cole. He took time out of his busy schedule to come and talk to us, man. I appreciate that.
Smart man.
Yes,
Always takes the
yeah.
opportunity. Remember, it's the guy who takes the interview is the guy who's worried about getting as much exposure as he can.
Yeah.
The second you say, nah, I don't want to do an interview, you're basically saying no to more potential exposure. That interview, that video, that clip, that phone call, that whatever it is that you're getting the exposure from could be the one that catches a sponsor. Could be the one that caught a guy who's like watching radio, listening on his way home from work.
How could you not like the man?
Yeah, no, dude.
I mean,
he's
sense of
super fun,
humor, he
super
keeps it
nice.
real, and keeps the fight game in perspective.
No, I love it. He's a real, what do you say, blue collared? like every man kind of guy. Like he's just trying to work his way back up the ranks. That's all he's trying to do and have fun while he does it. It seems like a real man. Seems like a nice life.
Special guests and all the crew right here at the Kick-Ass Podcast saying hasta luego, baby.